I'm speaking to Emily Gardner, who is a cognitive behavioural therapist with Thrive London. Welcome, Emily. Very nice to speak to you this morning. Thank you for joining me.
Nice to speak to you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Could you, first of all, tell me a little bit about Thrive London and your role?
So the role came up as a result of the coronavirus. We really felt that it was important that we offered this webinar series, and so I actually work for an NHS trust, and so I was asked to do a secondment to develop these webinars. So yeah, came across from my normal NHS job to develop the webinars to really help people in the midst of the coronavirus.
What does a cognitive behavioural therapist do?
So in our day-to-day job, we do assessment. So we will assess people with common mental health difficulties to determine what they're struggling with. So we try and work out their main challenges, and then we will work out what treatment would work for them. So we would provide a provisional diagnosis, and so it might be depression, or it might be generalized anxiety disorder, for instance. And then we also offer treatment for those challenges as well. But we do a lot of groups within my service, which I really enjoy and people really find useful. So yeah, we do a lot of group work as well.
Could you tell me a bit more about the webinars and what sort of topics they've covered?
Yeah, so we've delivered, I think, 12 webinars in total for kind of the general public. Actually, no, I think it was 8 for the general public and 4 for workforce. So we've really been working on this webinar series, which covers low mood, anxiety, working from home, financial challenges.
Money A+E worked with you guys on one of the webinars, didn't we, on managing financial anxiety?
Yes, we were really lucky to have you join us. It was a really fun webinar to deliver, and we had really good response as well.
Obviously, a lot of people, it's a very difficult time for people financially. People are worried about losing their jobs, or unfortunately may have already been made redundant. Are you seeing a link between financial pressures and mental health?
Yes, so we've always known that when people struggle financially, they will also have difficulties managing their well-being, because financial pressures will increase stress levels and low mood as well. And so we've known that forever, but it's just become more significant during this time, because a lot of people are struggling financially, and so naturally that will impact their well-being and impact their mood. And so yeah, it is important that people who are struggling financially are aware of that. You know, it is probably caused by the financial challenges, but they can do something about their well-being as well.
And I know you're not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to ask you for money tips specifically, but to somebody in that situation, what would you advise people to do in order to maintain their well-being if they are experiencing money problems?
I guess there's two things that I'd like to suggest. The first would be thinking about using a problem-solving strategy to help you resolve and manage some of those overwhelming problems. Because one of the things that people find they do is avoid when they have financial challenges. They find it too overwhelming to think about, and so they avoid thinking about it. So they don't open their bills, they don't ask people for help, kind of bury their head in the sand. And this can obviously just exacerbate those challenges. And in fact, they don't go away. The financial worries are still there. And so focusing on problem solving rather than avoidance is definitely the first thing I would recommend. Really focus on how you can solve your problem. And if you focus on resolving the problem, then it's less of a worry.
It's worth mentioning the webinar that you guys did with Money A+E, I think, because that has lots of places that you can turn to either online or through an appointment on the phone, like Money A+E. I mean, I would add to that, you know, kind of reach out to people around you and open up if you can with people that you trust. And would you agree with that?
Definitely. I think connection with others is really important, whether we are doing really well or whether we're struggling, and it's important to reach out. And money issues can often be a taboo subject, and we don't necessarily open up about our financial concerns or our financials when we're doing really well financially. So I think I agree with that. If we are able to talk more openly, we definitely will gain benefits from that.
My colleague Fred always says money should be like football. You talk about it when it's good, but you also talk about it when it's bad. Do you think there's a role for financial education to play in supporting our mental health?
Definitely. I think even for myself, you know, when I haven't fully understood what I can do to help myself financially, it's been anxiety provoking. And I think, you know, it would be really helpful if everyone went through like a budgeting course or class, and it was taught in schools, for instance. You know, it's a really essential tool that I think is underestimated. And I think definitely education on finances would be really useful. And because it is such a trigger for mental health difficulties. And so, yeah, if we were to support people with that, that would really help.
What is the focus for Thrive London now, and yourself as well? Do you have any new projects in the pipeline?
Well, we've put the live webinars on hold at the moment. We still have the recordings of all of the webinars that we've done on our website. So if you are struggling in any way and you would like to come along and have a look at some of those, you can find all of them on there. We're also recording some professionally as well.
I'll share that link. It'll be either above or below this interview. Yeah, I highly recommend them. I've watched a few and they are really helpful. I got some great tips. I can't remember which webinar it was in, but it was about continuing to do the activities that you would normally do, even if your mood is going up and down. So kind of pushing yourself, even when your mood is starting to dip, you push yourself to do your work or the washing up or whatever it is that you need to do, and that leveling the activities out helps level your mood out. And I found that really helpful the last few weeks. So it's definitely helped me. So I highly recommend them.
You're talking about the boom and bust cycle, and It is a cycle that we can often fall into. And so, yeah, we've got that as part of our low mood webinar. So if anyone wants to find out a bit more about that, they can find that in the link above or below. So I just would say, for anyone struggling with their mental health at the moment, I guess my top tips would be find a way to connect socially with others despite the limitations. Make sure you connect with your hobbies and interests as well. So don't neglect them, even though you might be struggling financially. Really focus on how you can still do those things that you enjoy. And exercise as well. I haven't mentioned that yet today. Exercise is a really fantastic way of improving your mental health. So if you are struggling, then get out even for just a walk is better than nothing. So yeah, those would be my top 3 things to do if you are struggling.
Thank you very much, Emily. It's been really nice talking to you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been lovely chatting to you too as well.